Hey guys, this is Jason from MainstreamGeek.com, and you're listening to the Mainstream Geek Podcast for March 9th, 2016. On today's episode, we're going to talk with Brandon about the new Ghostbusters cartoon, a new Game of Thrones trailer, Luke Skywalker being gay, and we do our weekly review of The Walking Dead. What's going on, everybody? It's Wednesday. We have Brandon with us.
Howdy, howdy.
Yes, that's what you do into the microphone. You say hello. Or is that just a Skype lag? Brandon's on Skype with us when he's on the show, so I'm always curious of how much of a lag there is between he and I. Say hello as soon as you hear me say hello, okay? Hello.
Hello.
Oh, well, that's very fast. Never mind. So let's just jump into the news. But before we do that, actually, let's remind everybody to go to iTunes, rate, review, and subscribe for the show. I'm not going to go on to a long thing about that, but please do that. Also, you can find us on YouTube and blah, 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 blah. If you've heard the show before, then you know all that stuff. So let's just jump into some news. Brandon, you sent me a story today, and I wanted to jump into that first because everybody else had a chance to talk about this, but you didn't. There's going to be a new Ghostbusters cartoon.
Yes. And it's apparently going to be directed by the guy that does the Clash of Clans commercials. Which I'm not sure how much of a credential that is.
That's exactly what I thought. But here's I didn't know what those were right away, and so I had to look it up. They're the Kate Upton commercials for the iPhone video game, right?
No, that is something War something. That is a different phone game. It's a
phone game.
Yeah. It's the Clash of Clans are those little dudes. I don't know how to best describe, like medieval dudes that fight battles against each other, and there's like skeletons, and there are like Viking-looking dudes. I don't know. It's not. It's like a cartoon, like a CG cartoon.
So
but
it's a game.
It's a game. Yes.
Have you played it before?
No, I have not. I've only seen the crappy little commercials they have.
So I am with you, and I don't understand how that's a credential to direct a TV cartoon. But I didn't get from the article you sent if it was a real Ghostbusters cartoon or the new Ghostbusters cartoon. Which do you think it'll be?
I don't think they'll. You're talking like the difference between the real Ghostbusters, quote unquote, from the 80s.
No, the cartoon was called The Real Ghostbusters, if you remember. Yeah,
right. But I was putting that in quotes on Skype.
Well, they are the real Ghostbusters, also.
Right. but so yeah, that is sort of underlying my point, is that there was confusion back then about what the heck the real Ghostbusters were and why that was different than the movie that came out the year before.
Oh, I have an answer to that.
I think I sort of know the answer to it. Go ahead.
If you remember, there's a really odd cartoon from the 80s that's also called Ghostbusters. That's not related to the movies in any way, but it came out before the cartoon, the real Ghostbusters came out. So the Ghostbusters tagged on the real Ghostbusters at the beginning of the name of their cartoon. That's why it's called The Real Ghostbusters as opposed to Ghostbusters.
Gotcha.
Yeah. What was your thing?
I thought that there was some kind of a rights issue, but that could be the same story. There was probably the original cartoon had the rights to the term Ghostbusters, so they had to tag that onto the actual title. So, right, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
But yeah, I don't. In other words, so back to the original question, I don't think they're going to confuse things like that. So I think it'll be related to the sort of newer movies, but I don't know. Is it going to be the female cast, or is it going to be the old school, dude cast? I don't know.
I don't know how they could make an old school version of a Ghostbusters cartoon, because cartoons, when it's all said and done, are for kids, and kids don't know who the old Ghostbusters are. But the new movie will introduce them to the new Ghostbusters. So I would guess it would be the new Ghostbusters, the less good Ghostbusters. I'm saying less good. I haven't seen the movie, but I've seen the trailer, and we all know what I think about that. But also, do you think that the movie's not out yet, and they're already planning a cartoon series for the show? Do you think this is a bit of a counting your chickens before they hatch kind of thing?
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of other franchises that have done this. Like, I know there is a Guardians of the Galaxy cartoon that's on Disney. and there is an Avengers cartoon, but those, I don't know, those the writing was on the wall, and that those were going to be successful before, but but for the Ghostbusters, there's definitely a high chance that this will not be any good. So yeah, it seems a little optimistic to me to be starting a cartoon. The article I sent you said feature. It was a cartoon feature. Now to me that didn't mean series.
It did say that. Yeah, I remember saying that. And when I read that, I was confused also. It put this thought in my head. Sony, who makes Ghostbusters, is also in charge of Spider-Man. And Sony is making a Spider-Man animated feature that is coming out. Is it next year? It might be next year. So they're taking it's another movie that they're making the exact same thing of and doing a cartoon of, maybe.
Yeah, I guess
I don't get why people they're so hard on about, like, why not just make a good product, see how well it does, and then carry forward with that.
I suppose it's because animation takes so long to produce that you almost have to get the ball rolling.
If it's this guy, it won't. I'm guessing that. Okay, so this Fletcher Moles, is that how you say his name? Moles, Moules is how you say his last name, and he directed those Clash of Clans commercials. Those are computer animated. That's not hand drawing, and that can you can churn those out quickly, very quickly.
Oh, I don't know.
A computer animated show.
Judging by how long it took them to do like an episode of Star Wars, Clone Wars, and Rebels.
Well, that's
shows
quality
like that.
animation, though.
Well, okay, so we're already saying the animation's going to be shitty, I guess.
No. I'm not saying that at all.
You think it's going to be more like South Park? Because I know South Park takes...
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that... I'm trying to think of a... Okay, so back in the day... not long ago, there was a show called Transformers Beast Wars, right?
Okay.
And that was CG. That was a CG animation cartoon, and it wasn't bad quality, but it was obviously CG. It wasn't very great. And I remember hearing one time that they can turn those around in about 3 weeks, a whole episode, recording and everything. So if it's that kind of animation, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. Which if it's that kind of animation, then it's not going to be any good. Because
I don't know. South Park's a good show, and it has shitty animation.
It does, but that's sort of the joke with it, and it's a, you know what I mean? It's like they make constant in references to how crappy the animation is, and it's a running joke throughout the series. If they did something like that with Ghostbusters, I'm not sure if that would work. A, B, they're not going to go that route. I can just tell now they're not going to.
Yeah,
they're almost certain not to go that route.
You're probably right. I'm just saying that. Like, it wouldn't take that long. It's like an episode of The Simpsons where they take 8 months to make a single episode. It's not going to take that long.
I'm just saying if they're wanting to do it the right way, they need to take longer on episodes.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's going to end up looking like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the 500 shows that my kid watches that are in that style, like Sophia the First or, Doc McStuffins, shows like that, which... Those might not be bad. Those might be bad examples because both of those are. I'm thinking of the animation now. But there's lots of other ones that you can tell the animation didn't take quite as long and it suffers, but it's for babies and it's for toddlers, so who cares?
Well, if they wanted to do it the right way, they'd wait and see how the movie does, and if anybody even cares about watching the fucking cartoon before they spent the money on it, which I don't think that a lot of people are going to want to spend the money to. To spend time watching the show, because the movie itself, the trailer, right now, I looked right before the show, right now for the trailer for the movie, the likes and dislikes, this is the count. I've been watching this for a few days now because I think the number is just so funny. I've never seen one like this. Right now there's 175,000 likes for the trailer, but there's also 381,000 dislikes for the trailer. I've never seen something that disproportionate in likes and dislikes on YouTube.
Really? Don't you think? I don't know. I've never tracked that kind of thing before.
Not for like a big thing like this. It's usually pretty close. Like there'll be a lot of dislikes for it, but it won't be like twice as many dislikes for.
It wouldn't be twice as right.
Yeah. So, what did you? We didn't talk to you about this. We talked to everybody else, so I figured I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but I talked to Travis and AJ about the Ghostbusters trailer. What are your thoughts on the Ghostbusters trailer?
I thought it was disappointing that it is a reboot, and that disappointed me. I thought there were potentials for funny things, and I disagreed with you guys on that. I thought there was a couple of funny lines in there. And, you and I talked about how each of those actors are sort of one-note comedy actors. And I don't necessarily have a problem with that. If they can do their thing in that movie, then I think that would be fine. It would work just fine. But I am disappointed that it's a reboot, because I feel like that story lends itself to and I don't think anyone's clamoring for a reboot either.
No.
And I was going to ask you this, just sort of as a devil's advocate thing. You loved Force Awakens so much, and criticism of that movie is that it's basically a reboot of A New Hope. So how does that differ how do you differ that in your mind from what you've seen so far with Ghostbusters?
I would disagree with you on what that is. I think that it does follow a lot of the same story, the plot points of the story, but it's a continuation of a story that's setting up a new story. So it's not like they're starting from scratch, and they're just telling the same story. It's
they're not explaining the Force again.
It's not so much that it's the exact same movie again. It is that actually. It's the fact that they're claiming that the other one never happened, and in a way that's saying that the other one wasn't needed in my head. I don't know why, but it makes it feel like they're saying that, but they're pretty much just making the movie again. It feels that way to me, at least. That's what the difference is.
Yeah,
are.
I mean, and it could just be that this trailer was cut terribly, and
absolutely,
and it was set up. It was set up in a way to show you all the points that you're used to seeing in a Ghostbusters movie. Whereas the marketing to Force Awakens, in some ways it was, but in a lot of ways it wasn't. And when you actually saw the movie, you noticed that it kind of followed the same trajectory as A New Hope from the plot perspective. But Ghostbusters, maybe it doesn't do that from a plot perspective, but it does it. But it has visual things, and maybe that's all it is. But
I would also argue
right
that
now it doesn't. That's giving it a lot of benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I would also argue
part.
that with The Force Awakens, that the copycat of it all was that it was more thematic than it was plot. This seemed like it's going to be plot beat for beat, as opposed to just the theme of the movie is still there. The theme of the first set of movie of the trilogy is still there, which is what The Force Awakens was. But
right.
This seems like they're telling the movie again. I think I don't know if I said it when I talked about Travis, but I think it would have been great if they would have just. I think I'm killing so much time on Ghostbusters here, but I'm going to go on. They would just continue the story and had it to be where these women happen to be the people who took over. I read an article about the trailer on, I think it was BuzzFeed, where they said that who's the guy that's directing the movie? I can't think of his name right now. I know the name, but I can't think of it. But anyways, he said that he wanted to empower them by letting people know that they were the ones that made these devices and stuff. And they had all these gadgets. The gadgets in the movie look awesome. I'm just going to like the bear trap that's like a ghost catcher. That stuff all looks cool. But how would them creating gadgets stop it from being a continuation of the story? Why not? They're still creating the gadgets themselves, It's not like, they didn't create the proton packs. Okay. They didn't create that one thing. They're going to waste. They're just going to waste so much time setting things up in this movie. That's a real big turnoff to me.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. You sent me the full Red Band trailer for Game of Thrones, and I guess you want to talk about that.
What is the Red Band trailer? What does that mean? Help me out on that.
It's like an R-rated trailer to where they can. I didn't get why this was a Red Band trailer.
Okay.
Because it didn't really have cursing it had violence, but violence is violence.
There's violence, and there was like the illusion of nudity a couple of times.
The illusion,
there was like a couple of times where people.
There were two women fucking at one point too, but that's not real fucking.
Oh.
So here,
but
wait, go ahead.
Go. Yep.
Anyhow, here's a thing about me with Game of Thrones that you might not like to hear, because we do the Walking Dead reviews on this show with you, and Game of Thrones is also a Sunday show. My wife likes me to save Game of Thrones until the end of the season and binge watch it with her.
Oh.
So, I may have to lie to my wife to do this with you.
I don't want to be a an instigator of that at all.
Our marriage is down the tubes anyways. But what did you think of the trailer, and all jokes aside?
Well, I'm excited. Game of Thrones is my favorite show, so I'm excited to see any bit of what's happening. It was kind of a surprise. I think common perception was that we weren't going to get a trailer before the season.
Why was that perception?
The season happens next month because it's here next month, and we haven't seen anything.
Yeah, we have
seen a little bit here and there, but we haven't. But there hasn't been a full trailer to this point. So I didn't think it was going to come, and it just kind of appeared today.
Well, we just got the Daredevil trailers a couple weeks ago, and that's next week. So,
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. What did I think? I'm trying to think of the highlights. Bran was there with, it looked like he was standing up to me.
And he's 36 years old now.
And he's like 115 years old, yeah.
Yeah.
But, he turns around and there's a White Walker behind him all of a sudden, which, I don't know what's going on there. Have you read any of the Game of Thrones books?
I've read zero of the books, and up until this season, that's been a hindrance. But I think it's a hindrance for everybody this time because this season isn't based upon any of the books because he didn't finish the book that would have corresponded with the season. Yeah, this is season 6, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah. I read most of the books, and I was halfway through the most recent one when I gave up on it.
Why'd you give up?
Well, it's a long story basically, but this book and the book prior were both took place at the same time.
Oh yeah, I knew that. Klein, yeah.
And so it's just it's way too long-winded at times, and which is his style. When it gets to the point, it's good writing and it's good story, but for me it was just getting too hard to get through all of that. And then Star Wars started happening, and I gave up on it. So, too much to follow with that reading wise. But so yeah, I guess I finished halfway through the book that was the previous season, so I knew nothing about Jon Snow dying, anything like that. Because I hadn't finished that
for
book.
everybody.
Oh, sorry, spoilers.
No, if you're on Facebook, Jon Snow's dead anyway, so it doesn't matter.
That's true. That's true. It's been spoiled by now. But I guess do you think he's coming back? There's a lot of rumors about that.
I read an interview. I'm sorry. I read an article about how in an interview he had said that he filmed 6 scenes for the new season, so he's in it in some capacity.
Yeah.
So
do you think the most the rumor that I can believe the most is that Melisandre comes because she's there at the end of the last season.
Yeah.
She works her voodoo magic and reincarnates him.
Well, in that trailer, what's that shit going on at the end there with who's the guy with the beard that he's taking the sword out by Jon's body on that table at the very end of the new trailer you just sent me?
Oh, was that
but something's going on there where it seems like they're getting ready to do something with his body and she's standing there.
Right. Yeah, so yes, that's probably what's going to happen. Now, whether he's the same Jon Snow whether he breathes and talks the same way that he used to, probably not. He's probably going to be all messed up.
That's the thing about the show, though. I mean, like, on one hand, I think, how can you do the show? Because Jon was my favorite character.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Yeah, but they set him up so much that I don't see it would have been a waste of all that setup to not use him. But at the same time, when you're watching Game of Thrones, you kind of have to understand, like, it doesn't matter, man. Like, we're setting these people up just because they're people in this world. So just like you and I know each other, you've been set up for 20 years of my life now. You could die tomorrow in a car accident. So that's the way they set it up. So that doesn't matter in Game of Thrones.
No, it doesn't.
That's why the show's like batshit crazy. And that's why, like, spoilers, like, there are very few things that spoilers actually matter to me. But Game of Thrones is one of those things because I want to watch it like, oh shit, when the thing happens. And that's what's really hard about watching it with my wife and having to wait till the end of the season because the next day on Facebook, all you're seeing is the spoilers just said flat out. Like minutes after it happens, you're seeing, I can't believe they killed Jon Snow. Like people are saying it flat out. So
that's going to be tough, man. Christy and I watch it together as well, but we watch it week to week.
Yeah,
it's not. I mean, I don't. Yeah, I understand binging something. Believe me, I understand that completely. But there's other things to watch to occupy your time, Kelly.
Yeah,
you can do this. You can do this.
I actually don't mind doing that with it, but I just mind the spoilers part of it because it is actually a very exciting, like long movie to watch. Like if you watch it in like 3 parts, like watch a few episodes, a couple days later watch a few more episodes. Because there are so many things going on in the show that it's really easy to kind of lose track of where people were at times without refreshing yourself a little bit. Like,
that's true.
And like I find that when I think we watched season 4 week to week together, and I feel like one of us would always be like, wait a minute, how did he get here? And then the other one would have to she would have to remind me, or I'd have to remind her of how they got to that point. And then that means we've been talking for like 2 minutes or a minute during the show, and so there are good sides and bad sides to what she does. I do think I'm going to have to watch week to week now because I don't want anything spoiled. Like because last time Jon Snow dying was spoiled, even though like that was the last episode, and we did get to start watching like the next day. But we didn't get caught up on it till like I think it was like a week and a half later when we got to finish the season. Yeah. That's
awful. Yeah.
Well, let's
spoilers.
Move on to a couple bits of Star Wars news, and then we will get to the meat of the show, which is The Walking Dead from this week. Luke Skywalker is gay? ? Okay, so he's been asked over and over. Mark Hamill, not Luke Skywalker. Mark Hamill, the actor who plays.
Same thing.
Yeah, has been asked over and over again by high school kids who get bullied for being gay if Luke Skywalker's gay. And he responded to one of their tweets by saying, Luke's sexuality is never directly addressed in the film. Luke's sexuality is whatever you want it to be. So this isn't really news, but it kind of opened a door in my mind as to what this could mean. And if Luke's sexuality is never alluded to in the films, that kind of clears up a big mystery for me that people have when they're theorizing about Star Wars, and that is Luke Rey's father? To me, that screams no, she's not.
Right.
Don't you think? Because him having a kid would kind of say, oh, he's straight.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill's not entirely correct when he says that his sexuality is never alluded to in the films.
Explain, please.
Because I seem to remember one scene 43, episode 5, Empire Strikes Back.
That's a great comic book guy impression, actually.
Where Luke tries to kiss his sister. Actually does kiss his sister.
She kisses him for luck, right? Oh.
She kissed him after he woke up from being attacked by the Wampa snow creature.
Yeah.
So he wakes up from that, and he's feeling like a stud. Also, he and Han were in a love triangle with Princess Leia in the first movie. There was back and forth on that. Luke said, what do you think about her? And Han says, oh, I'm trying not to, kid. And Luke says, good. Because Luke is hot after his sister.
Oh, yeah, you're right. So, he does say that. So he does like girls. Mm-hmm. Well, damn it.
Well, it doesn't mean he doesn't like guys, but he also likes girls.
Well, if he likes girls in some way, that means he could have fathered a child, because that could put a little hole in that little theory of mine there. But that relates to another story that you sent me, which is something I never... This is the part of Star Wars I hate, and it's the fans. It's just like Barack Obama and Jesus. I like the idea of the two, but the people who follow them too closely, it's just like, oh, you're annoying. You're so annoying. J.J. Abrams addressed why Chewie didn't hug Princess Leia after Han died.
Right.
Why this was on anyone's mind, I'll never understand. But it was a thing that was on people's mind. And he pretty much...
It was a thing that was bothering a lot of people.
A lot. It was a news story.
Right.
And he answered it by saying this: that was probably one of my mistakes that I made. My thinking at the time was that Chewbacca, despite the pain that he was feeling, was focused on trying to save Finn and getting him taken care of. So I tried to have Chewbacca go off with him and focus on Rey. He goes on to say, the idea being that both of them being Rey and Leia, being strong in the Force and never having met, would know about each other. That Leia would have been told about her beyond what she saw on screen, and Rey, of course, would have learned about Leia. So that means to me that it clears up another little thing, which is the worst theory, that Rey and Ren are siblings, which I hate. I hate that theory, because if Leia doesn't know who Rey is, then there's no way Rey came out of her. Wouldn't you say? That's a pretty clear thing. I'm aware of everyone who's ever been in or out of my body. I would hope that Princess Leia, because I think she's a pretty smart person, or the character is presented to be a smart person.
She was a drug addict, alcoholic there for a while. But...
That's Carrie Fisher, not Princess Leia. Don't mix fiction and reality like that. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that I think that exactly what JJ explained, is what I was thinking when I watched the movie. Was that Chewie is going to Finn? He's basically, Chewie and Finn are like Chewie's kind of taken over, or Finn is trying to kind of taken over for Han as far as Chewie's life debt or whatever he had with Han, and so he's helping he's making sure Finn is okay, and that's exactly what I thought after the film. It's like, oh, he went to see, make sure Finn was taken care of, and so that makes sense to me. The only time that I thought about it is when it was brought up to me, and I'm like, oh yeah, that doesn't make sense. I don't understand that, but it never bothered me at any time. And I also, I think JJ said that the only reason that it bothered people is because the way it was framed in the shot is that you clearly saw Chewie right there in the shot.
I think people are fucking idiots.
Well, yeah. But if he would have framed it differently, blocked the actors differently, then people probably wouldn't have even said anything about it.
Right. I'm going to say one more thing about Star Wars that's not in the show notes, but I just wanted to bring up to you, see what your thoughts on it were. Okay. The other day, Daisy Ridley said that she thinks that there will be a lot more information coming out during the movie than happened on JJ's film, because Rian Johnson isn't being anywhere nearly as tight set as JJ is. Like he's letting people Instagram from the set, take photos of each other on the set, do things like that on the set. Oh. Yeah, so there might be a lot more information coming about the movie before we see the movie this time around, which is fun, which is cool. But I do have to say I really kind of dug the whole excitement buildup of the last one. That was kind of like a neat little drug I got.
I did too, but I also feel like that time has passed because it was the brand new kickoff of a new Star Wars era. So it's I don't know. Let me try to put it in the right words. I think we needed to be in that theater and see the first thing for the first time, without it being too, when it was spoiled for a lot of people, but without it being too spoiled by whatever happened in the production. You know what I mean? Now that we've kind of established the new world, I don't feel like as much. You don't have to be as stringent with the information now because it's already established.
Yeah,
and it's
here
now. You know what I mean? So I think what Daisy said probably says more about JJ than it does Rian Johnson, though. I think it's harder to be as secretive as JJ is. You know?
Yeah.
So no one's going to live up to that.
I just want to get your thoughts on that before we move on. Okay, before we jump into The Walking Dead for this week, Brandon, let's talk a little bit about our sponsor, Nerd Block. You collect things, don't you, Brandon? What kind of things are you into collecting?
I like pop vinyl figures. I like instruments. I like Star Wars toys.
Yeah.
And I like, I don't know, food.
Well, if our listeners have been looking to get into the world of collecting, but they just don't want to spend all of that money doing it, you know what they should do? They should visit mainstreamgeek.com/nerdblock and sign up, and every month you get a little box sent to your house with some great stuff, quotation marks around great, but that's all relative, sent to your house. I think plans start out at $15.99 a month, depending on how long you sign up. I think the $15.99 a month is for the year-long plan. So if you please go visit mainstreamgeek.com patreon.com/nerdblock and sign up for this service if it's something you were thinking about joining anyways. I would greatly appreciate that. Brandon, let's jump into this week's episode of The Walking Dead. What did you think? I know last week we said that we both expected it to slow down. That is not what happened at all.
Not at all.
In any way. What were your thoughts, before we break down the episode, what were your thoughts on what happened?
I thought it was exciting. It was very violent, very, like, I don't know, war movie type of setup throughout the show, or the episode. I liked it. It was a good episode. I thought...
That's 4 in a row, by the way. Four good episodes in a row.
Yeah.
It was also really well directed. It was like, there were points in it where it was like super stylistic, with like when they were drawing the map of the building and the camera came in above them and swooping around. And I was like, wow, they're like actually doing like creative things with how they're doing this now.
That was good too. And I know last time we talked about last week's episode, I talked about how the show feels a little bit too much like The Stand from the 90s, and did not get that feel in this episode at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it like movie caliber, like Game of Thrones is a movie caliber show, but this was pretty high caliber. Again, everything I say about Walking Dead is I'm just more amazed that Walking Dead is doing this stuff more than it's, because if this was just a show which was as good as it could be on a consistent basis, then I would not be so awestruck by this episode. Would you not say that's a thing?
Right, I agree.
Yeah,
it's good for Walking Dead.
Yeah, it was great for Walking Dead. But it did not slow down at all. And I honestly, if I'm looking ahead to episode 5 through 8, I don't see episode 5 being able to slow down. That has to get pretty crazy. There's
potential for them to do sort of a, because did you see the scenes from the next week?
I have not seen that. No.
Okay, there's the people that have Maggie and Carol, or there are 2 women that have Maggie and Carol, and there could be an episode where they just wander the woods for an episode. You know what I mean?
like when they lost Sophia. Like that's something that could be exciting, but it could also be that episode.
Right.
Yeah, it could be that. So let's break the episode down.
Okay.
We start off with Carol baking cookies made out of acorns and beets.
Which, do you think that's any good?
Well, I don't know, man. They looked like they'd be fine cookies. A big thing for cookies with me, as a cookie connoisseur, is a texture thing. I'm not a nut cookie kind of guy, but it doesn't look like the cookies were... They look like it was ground up to make the crumble of it. So maybe they were good, and they had the beets in there for the sweetness. I've never eaten beets myself. I don't think I've ever eaten a beet. But...
No, I haven't either.
Yeah.
But, if it's... These people probably have... Did they have sugar in them? I didn't examine the contents of the...
I don't think so, because...
little kitchen there.
When that guy...
She used beets for sugar.
Yeah.
Or for sweetness. So these people probably haven't had added sugar in a while, so it probably did taste sweet and good.
Yeah, probably. But she's walking around handing these cookies out to everybody, which I'm guessing is because she's making these cookies because they're so low on food that everybody's really hungry. Am I right about that?
Yeah, and when she was in the pantry at the beginning of the episode, the only things left were beets, and nobody likes beets. And she was collecting the nuts and everything like that. There were a couple of things left, but they panned over what was left, and it was hardly anything. And there was a big can of beets there, so that's and she also, it was also sort of I don't know, what did you glean sort of from her demeanor at the beginning of the episode?
It was what was that trying to tell us? Right?
I don't know if it was happier, if it was her trying to put on Susie Homemaker mask again.
Well, here's why I say happier. Because it seems like she was going around and like she was enjoying like making the cookies and getting the acorns for the cookies. Then that zombie came out and she killed it and she got blood all over her nice white shirt. And she looked down and then she was like, oh, my mood is ruined now. Like she was like, I'm in a happy place right now. But then her nice white shirt was ruined and she was like, fuck. I forgot for a minute that I was in this shitty world, and look at this. Like, you can't forget for a second that that's what's going on.
Right, and then she also seemed super bummed out when Rick came back and said that it was time to fight.
Right, yeah.
That we have to fight. She was like, crap. Because
they said at one point in this episode, I think, where it's been weeks. Yeah, when she was talking to Morgan, he said, it's been weeks since we talked. So nothing's bad has happened to the group in a while. So for them, that's a long stretch of time for nothing bad to happen to them.
True.
So she was probably in the mindset of like, everything's okay now. It's like when I have a bat in my house, I'm always walking around corners very quietly, like making sure there's no bat for the first couple weeks. But then after a while, I just forget that there is ever a bat in my house, and I just walk freely.
Yeah, I think so. I think she wants to go back to where she was pre-apocalypse, but she's smart enough to know that you can't go back.
She keeps getting reminded that she can't go back. That's probably what was a bummer about what Rick said to her.
Right.
So Rick came back in. She walks and said, "Pull everybody to the church." Was it?
Yeah.
And she asked what's going on. He said, "We're going to have to fight." And she got all bummed out.
Mm-hmm.
So then we go into the meeting, and Rick tells everybody what's going on. How it's going to get them food to do this, and he's being straight up with them, being very honest with them about what they're going to have to do.
Right.
And then Morgan stands up like a douchebag, man. Is he being a douchebag though? Because this is different than anything they've ever done before. If you think about it, they're not defending themselves. They're going out to kill people that they've never met. Have technically, besides what happened with Daryl and Abraham and Sasha, never even approached them. They have no qualm. They're going to become mercenaries for food. So I think I called Morgan a douchebag just because I don't get his point of view with the whole wolf thing in the first place of why you should. Those people obviously should be killed,
right?
Especially in this world. Especially in this world.
They tried to explain it with that awful episode from last season why he doesn't want to kill anybody anymore, but I still didn't.
I know why he's not doing it. Yeah, I remember the episode with the goat you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
But it just doesn't make sense to me. It makes me hate his character a little bit. It's ignorant, really, is the shit he's trying to pull.
Right, but everyone, the entire church and the audience knew that he was going to object to this plan. Right, everybody looked back at him, waiting for him to say something, and then But I think what he brought up was different than what I thought he was going to. I thought he was just going to be vehemently against it, but his point of view was, can we do this? Is this even possible? How do you know? Blah, blah, blah. So,
well, no, that wasn't his
surprising.
Point. That wasn't his point.
It wasn't?
No, his point was he stood up and he said, can we do this? Are we able to? And Rick reassured him that he was sure that they could. And then Morgan said, well, why not just tell them that? Why not just tell them that we will fuck you up if you don't do what we want you to do? And Rick said, that's not the deal. This is what we're doing. And if you're going to live here, you don't have to kill, but you have to be okay with it.
Right.
Isn't that how it went down?
Yeah, so you're right. I forgot about that, how he wanted to talk to them, which would not have worked, obviously.
Not at all. Not if you've read the comic books and you know anything about Negan.
I guess I have the knowledge of the comic books to know that wouldn't have worked. But even hindsight in the show, after they got done doing it, you realize that those people were bad people. They would have not listened to any talk.
No, not at all.
And even the context clues that they give in the show with the people at the hilltop, and you would have known just based on that.
Yeah, I mean, because that whole town is not going to lie about these people being. And plus they came back and said they captured this guy, and they're going to give him back unless we kill you.
Right. So, exactly. And they convinced that guy to kill try to kill the leader. So
yeah. And then we find out that Carol and that dude, I don't know what his name is. Do you know what that guy's name is that Carol is with, I guess?
Jim Bob?
Yeah, maybe. Let's call him Jim Bob from here on out. But she and he are together, and he doesn't want her to go do this thing. But he also says that the things that she can do creep him out because she's a murderer. She's a straight-up murderer.
Right.
Yeah.
And she's a psychopath because she's bipolar because she can turn it on and off.
Yeah.
So.
Then we go into Abraham and Rosita's house. I guess it's Abraham, Rosita, and Eugene's house. And Abraham breaks it off with Rosita in like a really fucked up, hardcore, the kind of way you break it off with a girl that you've been with for a while, but you've wanted to end it forever, and you finally just had enough. Which is not the case here.
Right.
He says. She asks why he's doing this, and he says, "Why are dingleberries brown? They just are." And it's just like, Jesus.
Just the way shit is.
Yeah, just the way shit is, exactly. And then he said, then he tells her like he loved her when he thought that she was the last woman on Earth, but then he found out she wasn't. It was like, Jesus Christ, man! Like,
That's awful.
That's like you are destroying this poor girl right now. And isn't there a better time for this? Because they're getting ready to go into battle, like a serious battle that they all want to live through, and he's like giving her this big distracting thing.
I don't understand. I didn't understand his motives there.
But she didn't seem all that upset when they went into the battle, though. She was like,
there's no time to get upset. You know, they got shit to do.
She's more professional than I am, or any girl I've ever been with. But then, so he leaves the house, and Eugene's just standing there eating these fucking beet cookies. Is he just watching the two of them at all times? Because he's watched them fuck, he's watched them fight. God knows what else we haven't seen him watch them do.
You want to try one of these? Because
these are really chewy. That's what he said to her. They're really chewy. Then we go into the preparation stage, and this is the point in the because I was kind of worried for a little bit after the Morgan standing up in church thing that it was going to be a debate episode. I was like, is it going to slow down to this big debate where Morgan's trying to talk Rick out of this whole time? Then they go into the preparation stage where they show them drawing the map, and they have the dramatic music going. And I was like, oh shit, this is going down because we're only 10 minutes into the episode right now.
Yeah.
So like things are going down in this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought for sure this would be sort of the season finale was when they confronted Negan. You know.
That's where all the cool camera work I was talking about happened. And Rick says to Jesus, ask how they're going to get in. And he says, well, they wanted Gregory's head, right? We're going to give it to him. And then it just breaks off, and they go out to the woods. Now, I was confused. I watched it twice now to kind of get like a... the first time I watched through, I was like, why the fuck are they honking when they were out on that road? Did you catch why they did that?
No, I didn't, because I've only seen it once.
Yeah, well, I didn't make sense to me at first either, but on my second watch, it still didn't make sense until a couple seconds later when I realized they were trying to draw zombies out towards them so they can go hunt them. Right. Yeah, I was like, that's what they're doing right there.
That makes sense.
So they go hunting zombies to find some that are less decayed, I guess you could say. Which I don't know how you're finding zombies this far into the zombie apocalypse that aren't decayed. But they found 3 that were white men who could pass off as Gregory.
Right.
And Jesus and the pudgy dude from his camp say that the middle one looks like Gregory, but except for the nose. The nose is a little different. So Rick just picks up the damn thing and beats the shit out of it and says to tell him that you broke his nose when he broke your hand.
Right.
Yeah.
Rick's awesome.
Yeah. Well, the pudgy dude says to him that this. What did he say? He said the saviors are scary, but those pricks got nothing on you, right? Is that what he said?
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
Something along those lines.
Nothing on your crazy ass or something like that.
Yeah. So then they make the pudgy guy. We're going to call him Pudgy Guy and Jim Bob is what we're referring to. Jim Bob, right. They take the head to the Savior's camp, and we meet the first 2 Saviors that we... Oh, no, I guess that biker gang was the first Saviors we met, but we meet the first Saviors of this episode. Yeah. And I think they're scaling up cursing right now to accommodate Negan's character. Did you notice how much they cursed in this episode? As
we were recapping, I realized that there was a lot of shit bombs.
It's a lot of shit. But did you know? Are you watching that show, American Crime Story?
No.
Well, they're saying "fuck" at least one time an episode on that show.
Is that the OJ?
The OJ show.
Thing?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I heard about that. Now, how are they able to do that?
Well, it's cable TV. You can do anything you want on cable TV. What's really stopping people when you're a cable channel is your sponsors. And like Ty doesn't want to be associated with a show that says "fuck." So you can do whatever you want.
I thought that was on network for some reason.
It's on FX, I think. But I think with all the cursing in this episode, because they don't usually curse like this. But they cursed a lot in this episode. Not like I was offended, because I curse like a sailor, so you can't really offend me with cursing. I did catch myself thinking, I was like, wow, they're saying this on this show. That's a lot of cursing for this.
Huh. Yeah, I didn't notice it in the moment, but as I'm sitting here recapping it, I'm noticing it more now. It's going to be interesting how they do that with Negan, though, because he was a cursor with a capital C. So.
Yeah, fucking cunt, like all the time.
Right.
Now, what do you think about this? Say they didn't want to change Negan's character from like people wanted that.
Yeah.
And because people do want to see him like be Negan.
Right.
How would you feel about them bleeping it on TV and then like releasing the uncensored version on DVD? Because bleeping wouldn't really bother me, except if it got to the point to where it was like a Def Comedy Jam hour on CBS, then yeah, that would
beep.
Yeah, that might get a little annoying. But
or like watching Kanye on the Grammys or something.
Yeah,
right. That wouldn't bother me either. They did that on Breaking Bad a couple of times, where they bleeped out F-bombs.
Yeah,
that wouldn't bother me at all.
So they give the head to these guys, and they use that as a puppet, and and I forget what they said to the guy, but they call him a little bitch or something, using the head as a puppet, and then they bring out his friend. Did you notice that this is a weird thing? And it made me wonder if I can't remember back to the comic books, but the guy that stood outside with the survivor, he was whistling "Happy Birthday to You." Isn't that a thing that Negan would whistle in the comic books?
Oh, was it? Is that the reference? I didn't understand that at all.
I
don't remember him doing that.
But I feel when he was doing that, I was like, that feels like it's from the comic books. I just can't, because it's been a few years since I've read the comic books.
Me too. I don't remember that. The only thing I was thinking of when he was doing that was that "Happy Birthday" is now, the song is now public domain, so they didn't have to pay anybody for him to whistle that.
That could very well be it. But then Rick comes up, slits the dude's throat, and then they bring the guy out, and then Michonne just runs the guy that was using the head as a puppet through with a sword.
Yeah, great.
Then they go in and they just go apeshit on this place.
It bothered me a little bit. I know they had to do it for the story, but when they walked in there, they were like ninjas, right? Killing those two guys. They killed the first guy and then disappeared and waited for the second guy to come out and then killed him.
Yeah.
And then they were ninja-like to get into the building. And then once they were in, and I know Rick, they had to do this for TV purposes, but Rick was like, "You check that door and we'll check this door." And I'm like, dude, be quiet.
You pick your side of the hall, I'll pick mine. Yeah, we'll do that. That sounds good, Rick.
I know. I was a little annoyed by that. I'm like, come on.
Can't
you do the little, like, hey, the little, here, look this way.
Yeah, at least look cool when you're doing
hand
this.
symbols, yeah, something.
I didn't notice this in my first watch through, but I wonder if you did. When Glenn and who is the guy that Glenn was with? What's his name?
He's in the comic book too, but I can't remember.
Has like a Hebrew name.
Okay.
Black guy.
Yeah.
But I didn't remember this from my first watch through, but Glenn kills his guy because they were talking earlier in an episode about how they'd never killed people themselves before.
So and Glenn was lying.
Was he?
Glenn's killed people. He has to have.
I don't know, man.
I don't know. When they were storming the prison, or when they were defending themselves against the governor.
Yeah, he had to have. I guess you're right, but maybe he meant like up where, because he was probably just spraying bullets at that point, so he didn't know. But like up close and personal is probably different. Like if you're shooting,
murdering. Yeah, not defending yourself, maybe.
But did you notice that Glenn killed his guy, and then he didn't let the other guy kill the guy because I guess he wanted to save him from doing it. Like he was like, "That was awful. You don't want to do this shit. I've already done it once, so I might as well do it twice." I thought that was a cool little touch. It's
a cool moment.
Yeah,
I like that. Also, can you if you stab someone in the brain, are they instantly dead? They don't.
I don't.
They don't make a noise.
That's another thing about this show. Okay, they say the zombie virus starts at the top of the spinal column, right? In that first episode, but it seems like anywhere you stab a zombie in the brain, it's going to knock him out. But so I don't understand. I think that's one of those things you have to turn your brain off when you're thinking about where to kill somebody with a brain in the show.
Yeah, but because those guys weren't zombies, obviously. So I don't. If you just stab a regular human in that brain, I don't think it. I think they would go, "Ow, what the?" Ooh, and then they would die.
Yeah, and plus people get like wrought iron through their head all the time, and are like, and they live. So it's not right away.
Yeah.
But then they look up on the walls and they see that there are all these Polaroids of people laying on the ground with their heads bashed in. Do you think that's like from Negan smashing people's head in with his baseball bat?
I don't know. It's hard to. It almost looked to me like gunshots, but someone just blows someone's head off. But I don't know. What do you think?
That's where I took it from. I was like, wow, they have like pictures of what Negan's done to people, but Negan wasn't there. So it was weird to me that they had the pictures of like Negan's aftermath. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was gunshot wounds because I thought the splatter was but I guess a baseball bat could do that too.
But then a guy comes out, slashes Abraham with a knife because Abraham wasn't watching his behind him, and he sets off the fire alarm, which alerts the whole thing to it, and all hell breaks loose. Which somehow our survivors, get through the whole thing without being scathed. Not one person from the good team died.
And that was disappointing.
I was kind of like, that doesn't make a lot of sense, but whatever. This has been a good episode so far. I'm gonna let it fly. Right. Even Gabriel kills a guy, the priest, the little pussy priest guy.
Right.
Then they take over their. Is that a satellite station? What is that? Like a radio telescope for aliens?
I don't know what that is, but I was going to ask you the same thing. It's like I don't know, communication hub, like where they have where you have a neighborhood that has all of the telephone wires and everywhere goes to a centralized location, like a hub or something.
Yeah. Maybe. It was a satellite station of some sort because there had two giant satellite dishes on top of it. But after everything's all done, we go into one of Walking Dead's famous musical montages where it shows them walking out of the satellite station. It also shows Morgan building a cage. It looked like a cage or a prison cell in the basement of the place where he held the wolf before. So maybe that's his way of making things right with what happened because they talked about he doesn't feel right about what happened with the wolf, what he did with the wolf. Which I don't see what he did wrong there. Well, I see what he did wrong there. I say that wrong. I see what he did wrong with what he did with the wolf, but they're making a big deal about the whole thing happening was his fault. Everything would have happened the exact same way, whether he took that wolf prisoner or not. Would it not have? Because the reason the wolf was in there is because the wolves broke the wall down and came into the camp. So I didn't get that part, but he's building a prison cell. It looks like that to me, at least. And interesting thing about that is, eventually in the comic books, I don't know where you stopped at, but they catch Negan and they put him in a prison cell down in the basement of a house inside of Alexandria. So I bet that's what's going to happen with that.
Yeah.
They didn't know that Negan wasn't a part of the crew that they just killed, and because they were asking, Michonne was asking Rick, which one was
Negan? Yeah. And
then all of a sudden, a motorcycle just busts out of the place, and Daryl recognizes it as his motorcycle that was stolen last season. Did you notice that?
Oh, I didn't pick that up either.
Yeah, that was the motorcycle that was stolen from Daryl last season that he had borrowed from Aaron, the gay guy. Is that his name?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they're asking him where he got the bike from, and all of a sudden the call comes through on the radio and tells them that they have Maggie and Carol.
Right.
So, based upon them having Maggie and Carol, here are my thoughts. To change things up a bit from the comic books to this, do you think that Maggie or Carol ends up with Glenn's fate from the comic book? And do you think AMC has enough balls, or The Walking Dead as a show, has enough balls to make that person be Maggie?
No.
You don't think so?
I don't think they have enough balls to do that.
They killed Lori as she was giving childbirth, had her eaten by a zombie.
Yeah, but the baby survived. So.
Oh, that's true. Well, this isn't a baby yet, is it? How far along can she possibly be?
It depends who you're voting for.
That's a good point.
So, yes, I don't think that they can do that. I mean, I don't think they will do that, I should say. But that's a good point. They do tend to, this half season has followed the comics pretty closely. So they're going to stick with that plot. But they do tend to do something like that where they'll have instead of this character dying, they'll have this character die. Instead of this person missing a leg, they'll have this person missing a leg, and that kind of thing. So I could see that, definitely.
I just don't think Carol being killed will have as big of an emotional punch right now as Maggie being killed. But right. I also don't see them setting up the hilltop, the new town that they found, with an obstetrician and all this stuff that goes along with her, and her being the negotiator for the town, and that she kind of developed a relationship with Gregory. So I don't see them setting all of that up to kill Maggie, but I don't see there being any kind of emotional wow to killing Carol. Because Carol, it feels like she's a character that could die right now, and like it'd be like, yeah, that seems like it's about time for her to go.
Mm-mm. See, when she was in her like height of her badassery, when she freed the group from that cannibalist,
yeah, Terminus.
I thought she was, Terminus. I thought she was going to die then, and that made me sad because I liked where her character was at that moment.
Right, but she's kind of lost that.
She sort of has, yeah. She's different. She's bipolar. Carol. She wants to be Susie Homemaker. I think. Here's what they could do with Maggie. Maybe she has a miscarriage or something, and they have another scene with that doctor.
Well, how would it be that? How would that be any sadder than?
Well, she has a miscarriage, and then she ends up dying after that from Negan.
Oh, okay. So
you see what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
So
wouldn't one or the other accomplish the exact same thing? Like Negan beating the shit out of her, and that's how she dies. That's how the baby dies. That's a miscarriage. Technically, I guess, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I agree, but I don't think they could. I don't think they would do that. I think the baby dying would have to be a more natural thing, and not from a violent act from a man.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Over under.
So,
what do you think it'll be? Glenn, Carol, or Maggie that dies? What percentage wise? Over under. What do you think? Who has the bigger chance of dying? I think it's going to be one of those three.
Huh. My money's still on Glenn.
You think it's going to be Glenn, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I'd go with that. I'm not against that. I would hate to see that happen after the bullshit they pulled last season, and it just seemed like a fake out to waste episodes. So I just kind of hope they're better than that with their writing than
pulling the old fool me once, fool me twice. Oh, we got you this time.
Yeah, because everybody's going to be expecting it at that point. They need to do something different in order to make it satisfying, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's everything in the show, right? That was everything from the episode of Walking Dead. Yeah, that's the end of the show.
Yeah, I think we didn't talk about the lesbian thing, whatever was going on there.
Right. Okay, that is a good point. I did have that in my mind. When did that chick gain like 50 pounds, and how is that character gaining like 50 pounds?
I don't know. Maybe she's pregnant in real life. I don't know. She did gain weight though. You're right. Everyone's starving
fat.
except her. She's eating all the food and.
Did you notice that? Okay, the part where they're in the kitchen and they're talking. There's the way she's standing at the sink. They have a plate blocking her gut, like right there.
Mm-hmm.
Like
maybe she is pregnant then.
Maybe that could be. I don't know if she is or not, but that would make a lot of sense.
Pregnant last season was Sasha. Sasha was pregnant last season, but no one
didn't look like this.
Noticed.
Yeah.
Not like that, yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's everything we have for you today. So we're going to close it out. As always, if you have any thoughts on anything Brandon and I have said today, you can hit us up on Twitter or Facebook at Mainstream Geek. You can email me at jason@mainstreamgeek.com. Please make sure that if you're a fan of the show and what we're doing, find us on Stitcher or iTunes and subscribe, rate, and review the show. Check out the YouTube channel for some extra content. Brandon, do you have anything you want to plug?
At Scoon Nuts on Twitter.
That's it. We'll be back this Friday with Travis, talking about comic book goodie stuff and probably some Marvel news. Until then, keep it geeky.